Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. Let's get right to the quote of the day because way too much to cover. Quote of the day: build up your weaknesses until they become your strong points. Newt Rockne, legendary Notre Dame football coach. I am working on exactly that right now at this ripe old age. Thank you, Coach Rockne, for the healthy reminder. Think about it. You build up anything that's weak about yourself and it becomes a strong point, you're out of excuses, but you're also excelling and you're growing and you're changing, and it's very important to be doing that. So, moving right along, I just got info today. 2026 NBA All-Star Game. I know this has been bandied about, but it looks like they're moving forward with it. So the All-Star Game is the day after Valentine's Day, February 15th, Intuit Dome in LA where the Clippers play. So the All-Star Game is cursed. It will be a round-robin tournament. Listen to this format. 3 teams, 2 teams made up of players from the United States, 1 team made up of international players, 8 players per team. Now this looks like this is where it's going. This is not set in stone. It is being discussed by the league, but the word today is this is what we're getting for the All-Star game because the All-Star game has turned into an S show of guys just watching the other guys dunk. And no amount of money is going to make these guys care about the All-Star game. The last All-Star game worth watching was one that Allen Iverson played, where the guys cared about it. And this is my biggest gripe about NBA players today. Um, and a lot of it has to do with the no hand checking rules, so guys aren't used to getting defense played upon them. Um, there's a lot of issues that I'm having right now just in the back of my head with the NBA, but we're going to get to it. No word on the dunk contest or the skills or the three-point shooting contest yet, but that is the deal for the All-Star game. All I keep thinking is when I hear that is, well, Doncic and Joker are going to be on the same team, so who's going to beat them? That's the first thing that pops into my head with that. All right, moving on to Suns-centric stuff. A 4-team trade rumor is being bandied about. Come the trade deadline, the Suns most likely to be moved will be Nick Richards, backup center, Royce O'Neal, and Grayson Allen. As much as I'm not passionate about Nick Richards, but he is a serviceable backup. And if Mark Williams goes down again with injury, which he's been prone to do, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we will have good luck with him this year. But if he does go down with injury, Nick Richards, fills in nicely as the starter in spot time. That being said, I think Allen, if he gets back to where he was 2 seasons ago without having to defer to Beal and KD, will be a valuable, very valuable bench player, very good 6-man. He's a lockdown defender, and he's a really good 3-point shooter, and he's kind of a glue guy, and he's evolved and become a much tougher and better teammate as he's been in the league. And I don't like losing guys like Grayson Allen. I get it. If you're getting somebody that you think is comparable or better, fine. Royce O'Neal is also the most valuable veteran, along with Devin Booker, that we have, who can still play a good all-around game and hit a 3. At the same time, he's the exact kind of player a contending team is going to go after right before the trade deadline. So he's valuable as a Sun. He's valuable as a trade asset. And as much as I like him, he becomes somebody that we can get somebody better for. It's just a timing thing. So here's the proposed 4-team trade. Warriors are one of the teams. They get Trey Murphy III, and they are gunning for him. And I'll tell you why in a sec. Pelicans get Moses Moody, Nick Richards, and Haywood Highsmith, plus 2026, 2028, and 2032 first-round picks from the Warriors. This is all a rumor and hypothetical. It's just something that's being floated about by each team. The Nets get Grayson Allen, 2027 first-round pick from the Suns, tied to Utah, Cleveland, or Minnesota. 2026 second-round pick from the Suns, tied to OKC, Dallas, or Philadelphia. And a 2030 second-round pick from the Pelicans. Suns get Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah, that's the trade. That is the 4-team possible trade. This trade is expensive for the Warriors, but they need to take a risk soon to get more young guys around their trio, who I think this is the last year that they can do Steph and Draymond and Butler. They're great. They can still win a playoff series, but they need at least one young guy if they get past the first round, because those legs are going to be dead. And I don't care how great Steph is or Draymond or Butler is. Even if they're not injured, they're just simply going to wear out come the second round. They need some younger legs if they want to legit contend. And one guy can change that for them. Look what happened with Andrew Wiggins. I don't care about the Pelicans, as they're a stupid team, stupidly ran, that has done so very little with such good talent over the years. Zion Williamson, injuries notwithstanding. Pelicans should have made more noise by now, and they may be cursed like the Clippers. I think two things the Pelicans have against them is they are called the Pelicans. Figure out a way to get the Jazz name back from Utah and have the Utah Jazz find a name that befits the city and state that they are in. Also, they play at the Smoothie King Center, and no, just no. All right, so the Nets stand to get more draft picks, and once again, do very little with them. They got Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson, who's now on the Nuggets, and they re-signed Cam Thomas. Okay, what have you guys done? I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it, but I think Grayson Allen moves the needle for them, but he could for us if he's allowed to be our sixth man and sometimes starter again. All this for Kuminga. That was kind of the idea in the first place. Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen and some draft picks for Kuminga. Fine. And the other teams can be fine. I'm not 100% against this or for this. I'm just kind of like, okay, this is what you guys want to do. Lose more draft picks, although they're tied to other teams. Correction. The last Suns latest, when I talked about Sean Marion being traded for Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm still upset about it. I was upset about that then. I also said, screw you, Steve Nash. I meant to say, screw you, Steve Kerr, who orchestrated the trade at the time, as he was front office for the Suns. If you caught that and you were offended, you have a right to be. Steve Nash is Steve Nash. And we're going to talk about him as the rankings get higher and higher. But yeah, that was a screw up on my part, and I apologize for that. If I screw up, I'll call it out. If you think I screwed up, I'll admit it. If you think I screwed up and I don't think I did, I'll tell you that you're wrong, and you may tell me that I'm wrong all day long. That's the whole point. Circle of life, Simba. All right, so that is the 4-team trade. What do you guys think about that? You think it's worth going through all the rigmarole just to get Jonathan Kuminga and to lose trade Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and more draft picks? I don't know. I'm really not good when it comes to prognosticating second-round draft picks 2 to 5 years from now. It's not my thing. I'm not a big college basketball guy. I know who the good players are coming out and to be drafted, but at the end of the day, you got half of the first round, and then you get lucky. And that's just kind of how, to me, that's how the draft works, at least what I've seen recently. So moving on to comments. I love you guys' comments. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for keeping Suns Latest relevant and bringing up amazing stuff. Thank you for subscribing. We are over 600 right now. This is also the slowest time of the year. Even more so than a few months ago, because there's really nothing happening. It is rumors and waiting for the preseason. So there's always less comments, there's less subscribers. Once the season gets going and we really have something consistently to keep talking about, we'll get more subscribers. But thank you for keeping us alive. So comments at BoomerBro43, 48. Everyone, even outside of Phoenix, like listening to Al McCoy. September 21st will mark his anniversary. Well, the anniversary of his death last year. Yeah, wow. Any news on who will do color commentating for this upcoming season? I have no idea. I always hope to see Eddie Johnson or Tom Chambers. On the 21st, is it morbid to do a memorial on the date of his death, or the day he retired? I don't know. What do you think? I didn't even think about that. I mean, I'm sad and I want to have a moment of silence for him and remember the great Al McCoy. I just don't know if it's the thing to do on the day of his death. He was 91. He lived an amazing life. Do we want to do it on that day? Let me know what you think in the comments. Passed away at 91 a year ago, September. No news yet about that for the Suns. I didn't even think about that. I loved Eddie Johnson. His takes are always interesting. He does not flip-flop on his opinions, and he does not back down from his opinions. And he will call out and engage on socials with regular Suns fans, which I think is really cool for a former Sixth Man of the Year and a legitimate, really good professional player. And that's kind of special about EJ and some other Suns players who will talk to you, and I think that's really cool. On a personal note, I have personal Al McCoy memories because I grew up in Glendale, Arizona. I was born at St. Joe's in Glendale, and I grew up in a Hallcraft townhome. That was the first house that I grew up in. And Al McCoy was our neighbor. He lived, across the way. There's it wasn't even a cul-de-sac. It was just townhomes, a little grassy area. He lived, you could see his house from my window. And I'm still really good friends with Mike McCoy, one of Al's sons, who's a grown man who has worked in radio his entire life, just like his dad, and his twin sons, Jerry and Jay, I knew when I was a little bit younger. And we knew his wife, Georgia, who passed away, I think, in 2012. So, and Al McCoy, me working in radio in my past, still casually working in radio and doing stuff like this. I kept in touch with Al for a long time, and he got us tickets to games. And when I was in Denver, Al McCoy came out, and we had dinner at the ESPN Zone, and got me tickets to see the Jason Kidd, Sean Marion-led Suns lose to the Nuggets. So, and my dad and him were good friends as well, and they'd have lunch a couple of times a year. So I'm getting very misty-eyed when I think of Al McCoy and what a great man he was, not just an incredible broadcaster. So we're going to do something special for regarding Al McCoy very soon. And thank you for bringing that up. Al McCoy is as big a part of the Suns as anybody. At Nevetsov, I think I got your handle right. If I don't get your handles right, please phonetically spell them out for me because I will screw them up. After the 15, can you do the greatest Suns player villains of all time? Maury, I think he meant to say Morris. I don't know. Let's see, Bradley Beal. I don't think Beal was a villain. I think just everything was just wrong, and I think a lot of people screwed up. I think Beal did what he could. I think he was coming in. I think people thought that he was just going to be this incredible Vinnie Johnson type guy, and I don't think Beal's an incredible player. He's a good scorer, but he played in a very weak Eastern Conference most of his career as a guy who didn't really have to pass to anybody. So, and I'm not saying he's not a good player. He was an all-star and a third-team All-NBA. Yes, but I don't think he's as good as... I think when all is said and done, we're going to go, Beal wasn't as good as we thought. That's what I think. But he's not a villain. Robert Horry throwing the towel. I did a segment on why that all happened and went down. Yeah, Horry's the Suns villain. Antonio McDyess leaving right after we traded for him. Yeah, that was kind of a dink move, right? Same as Amare Stoudemire, retiring as a Knick. Richard Dumas on drugs. You can't call Richard Dumas a villain. He had a problem, and he was really good for us. And no. I get where you're wanting to go with this. Big O and his weight issues. Oliver Miller is not a Suns villain. These are personal. This is getting kind of personal with these guys. And I know, yes, how you are personal reflects on how you are with the team. But it's not from an evil villain standpoint. Like Robert Horry not wanting to be on the Suns and deliberately trying to get out of there. That's villain stuff. Okay? But not Oliver Miller, not Richard Dumas, and not Bradley Beal. And the Morris twins didn't do anything horrible while they were with the Suns. They just sucked. They were good, and then they sucked. After they left the Suns, they became villains to anybody who played against them, but not while on the Suns. We're going to have to rethink that. Even Sean Marion refusing to go to the Celtics in the KG trade. That's debatable. And I don't know if KG would have moved the needle for us. He was an incredible team player. So was Sean Marion. How much better would we have been with KG instead of Sean Marion? I don't know. I don't think it would have changed much. We're going to have to think about this. I do like the idea of finding player villains. I don't know. Jason Kidd's domestic violence resulting in us trading him for Stephon Marbury. That's interesting, too. Once again, that's a personal situation for Kidd. I don't agree with it. That's horrible. That is the reason he got traded. So he messed up. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I just don't want to get too cynical. It makes for bad karma. We'll look at legit Suns villains soon. The one that I can think, it's guys that wanted out and then came back to screw us over, like Robert Horry. Perfect example of a Suns villain. All right, okay. It's an interesting way to think about things. I don't want to go after guys personally. I don't think that's, they're already in the spotlight. I don't want to coddle NBA players. They're grown men. They're doing their own thing. I also don't want to go after guys who legit had personal problems, somebody like Richard Dumas, who I absolutely love and has come full circle and has been a help to the Suns in the front office and in marketing and stuff like that. So, and Cedric Sabalas too. So I don't think I really want to go down that road. All right, so ranking them. Dick Van Arsdale is in the 15. Is 15 out of the 15. Tom Chambers is 14. Could not decide, and it's going to get tougher and tougher between Alvin Adams and Sean Marion at 13. And there's going to be disagreements and stuff like this, stuff like that. But let's get to 12, and just remember, because I got a tie, we can add somebody else. So Hornacek might make the 15 per se. We've been talking about Stoudemire. Incredible. I mean, gosh, Stoudemire's resume with the Suns is absolutely incredible. And now you got to compare him as a Sun to Connie Hawkins, Jason Kidd, and Chris Paul. And the only thing I can say about Connie Hawkins, Jason Kidd, and Chris Paul is longevity with the Suns. Stoudemire was here for what, 8 years? Yeah. And he did a lot while he was with us. So And you could put Stoudemire's individual accolades up against anybody. Connie Hawkins put us on the map first. Even though Van Arsdale was the original Sun, Connie Hawkins was our very first superstar, 100%. The year he gets to the Suns, 1970, first team All-NBA, the very first All-NBA first team player we ever had. He was an All-Star. And it was at that year or was it the next year? The year that the Lakers had their 33-game win streak, the Suns went up against them in the semifinals and had them down 3-1, and then we just lost it because we were going up against West. We were going up against guys like him, guys like Keith Erickson. We had Van Arsdale, we had Connie Hawkins, and Wilt Chamberlain, and it's kind of hard to compete with a team like that. But Connie Hawkins, All-Pro, All-Star, and gets us to the semifinals, but that's about as much as Hawkins did. Now, he did put us on the map for his flashy style of play and for who he was. He was the Hawk. He was already a legend. But he really had, to be fair, one really good year for the Suns. The rest of it was like, we have Connie Hawkins, you know? So I can't, in good conscience, put Connie Hawkins ahead of Amari Stoudemire. When it comes to comparing Stoudemire and Jason Kidd, as far as accolades, Jason Kidd had more first-team All-NBA, more first-team All-Defense. Stoudemire did not play much defense. He was great at blocking shots. But Jason Kidd only won one first-round series and got us to the second round. And Jason Kidd, as we just talked about earlier, left kind of in disgrace with a domestic violence issue. Domestic violence. And it was a big problem, and it was an ugly way to end it. I think I got to put Stoudemire ahead of Kidd, too. Now, Chris Paul is very different. Chris Paul wasn't here very long. In the short time that Chris Paul was with the Suns, probably more than Jason Kidd and probably more than Connie Hawkins did so much in such a short time for us. So I think it's between Hawkins and Kidd. As far as impact. Man, this is a really tough one. A lot of you have commented about Jason Kidd, especially like two of you have made it very clear. It's like, dude, as great as Jason Kidd was, he didn't get us deep in the playoffs. And we were also going up against the Lakers and the Tim Duncan-led Spurs. And the one year that the Suns did get to the Spurs, I think the one year that the Suns got over the Spurs, Tim Duncan was injured. Jason Kidd worked with a lot of guys that were injured as well. So I've always said the Suns wouldn't sniff the playoffs without Jason Kidd, and they made the playoffs 5 years running with Jason Kidd. This one's kind of a bitch. Jason Kidd or Connie Hawkins, I think we're down to it. Stats got to be higher. He just has to. Jason Kidd or Connie Hawkins, Jason Kidd or Connie Hawkins, Jason Kidd or Connie Hawkins. I think Jason Kidd is number 12, and then we'll discuss the rest later. Tell me what you think. I think I can live with Jason Kidd at number 12. It is so bizarre because Jason Kidd is arguably a top 20 player of all time. And he had his most individual accolades with the Suns, but not as much winning as much as after he left with the Nets and the Mavericks. He got a title. He got to the finals twice. But the rule is, it's like, well, what did you do with the Suns? Individually, he did a lot. He did what he could. I think Jason Kidd is number 12. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for signing up. This is Suns Latest. I'm Rich Rubin. We will do it again soon. Thank you.